if you're lactose intolerant, you can't watch this movie because it's got so much cheese.
Sorry, yeah, I gotta go. You guys can do this on your own now.
Nope, end it there. You agree 100%. I'm right.
All right, welcome everyone to the first episode of Flix Fellas. For this episode, we took a look at a movie called Outside the Wire. It's a new Netflix original movie. It's a futuristic wartime movie starring Anthony Mackie, Damson Idris, Emily Beecham, and Michael Kelly. The director is Michael Hafstrom. I have no idea how to pronounce the name, but we're gonna do our best. Additionally, reviewing the movie with me, we have Joey and Kevin, who you can see here, and we'll hear from them.
What's up, everybody?
We'll hear from them in a second. And this movie takes you through the journey of Lieutenant Harp, a U.S. Air Force defense drone pilot who doesn't always follow the chain of command. And due to a call he makes in the line of duty, he's taken under the wing of a field operative called Commander Leo, who takes the term special operative to a new level. And we're going to be assessing this. So, Joe, do you want to give us your first take?
Yeah. I thought it was well done. One of my first things I noticed was that it was a war film not taking place in Afghanistan or Iraq, which I liked. Don't know if you guys had any feelings about that. It was great action shots, a lot of crazy action moves, fast-paced camera movements, good choreography of the action through unique styles of filming. Okay, what were your thoughts?
I'm so surprised actually by your first takes there, because I was very whelmed watching this movie all the way through. I think the acting was awesome. I love Anthony Mackie. I think he's great. And then I'd never heard of Damson Idris, but he was pretty good too. But honestly, the action scenes, it was just him breaking a dude's arm. You know that one move where the one dude punches and then they grab his arm and break it the other way? I feel like he did that every time he got in a fight. So I just felt very whelmed by this movie. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it was all right.
I'll say this to defend my action shots point. There were a lot of unique things that I've never seen, but then there were a lot of moments, like you said, where they do the typical twist the arm behind the back, snap it movement. But they did throw in, it was a little bit towards the end, so it was kind of late in the game, but yeah, I thought they had some cool shots, and we'll talk about that later in the spoiler part of the show.
It was a very whelming movie for me. What about you, James? I'm interested to see where you sit now.
Yeah, so I think I felt a little more whelmed. I definitely think it brought some new things to the table in the way it was shot. I did feel, and I have a bit of a rant on this that we'll talk about in a little while, that some of the shots, I feel like they had 75 cameras, but
all those robots, what do they call them?
Not even
Gumps?
that.
All the gumps were cameras.
Gumps. Yeah, all right. So, but I thought it was very good. It's definitely a good popcorn movie. It's, if you have a Netflix subscription, I definitely think it's good. It's a good movie. I think it's a good Netflix original. You know what I mean? It doesn't promise too much. It doesn't promise too much and then fall flat. You know what I'm saying? All the trailers and stuff, they kind of they get you in the mood of oh, this is a cool action movie. And I also love Anthony Mackie, so it's
James, I hate that take from you because of our conversations on Transformers that I'm sure will come up a million more times on this podcast. Yes, yes, it does not promise much at all. Yeah. And it doesn't give you much.
I agree. But my problem, we'll talk about Transformers later, is that they did promise you something.
Okay, yeah, this podcast is not about Transformers. We can argue about that later, but you're wrong.
But no, I will say for a Netflix film where they typically don't give you too much, Netflix action films nonetheless, I think this one did have a good level of story, twist, a little predictable, but there were some, I think, good moments in it, and we'll get to that.
I just
in the next
felt
section.
like it was kind of I know, and we're getting back into the conversation of Transformers, what it promises, whatever. I just felt like it was kind of tropey, the twist they were going for. It was just oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and then I guess the more more of my issues we'll talk about in this more spoilery part pertaining to Anthony Mackie's character, but. like it just seemed like very like, oh yeah, that happens all the time in movies.
I do love the dynamic of like the duo though, like the traveling duo. I feel like is a really like your world is almost on wheels, and I like that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
it's like it feels like a roller coaster because you're taking like you're sitting and like very much in the way of like, you know what I mean? I guess I don't want to talk about this right now because again, spoiler. Listen to the end of the podcast. You'll hear everything we want to say. This is the portion where we don't want to give any spoilers, so you can listen to this and then go watch the movie.
I like that you brought up a roller coaster though, because there's one of my gripes is it felt like it was on a track.
Trains,
like there
yeah.
was one track to where they needed to go.
In a different sense though, at the same time, like I was expecting this to be a super futuristic, like all about the graphics, all about cheesy like AI technology, and it wasn't that. It was actually there was realistic aspect to it. There was some cheesy.
Yeah, they didn't.
No. I agree. Yeah,
they didn't overpower you with it. It was like it was understandable. You know what I mean? It was
exactly.
like they took little.
They didn't try
leaps.
to. Yeah, they didn't try to be something completely that they shouldn't.
Agreed.
So was it like a knockoff?
16 years in the future.
Yeah, that's true. That's a crazy thing that I thought about right in the beginning too. I was like, man, that could be my kid one day.
Exactly.
But no, is it, to your point, Joe? Is it a knockoff like Chappie or like a knockoff District 9? No.
I feel like it's like it's a completely different vibe from those movies. Like,
it's a different
vibe.
But
yeah. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
But I think just the fact that like. It kind of goes into a conspiracy theory of like, what is the government really working on right now? Like, for us to be like that in 16 years from now or 15 years, it kind of alludes to that a little bit of like what's going on really in our military and our government. So there was little underlying aspects behind it that I liked because of that.
All right, and now just a quick word from our sponsors right before we go into the spoiler segment of the podcast. All right, and we're back, and now Kevin and Joey. Let's start with Kevin. Kevin, how do you really feel about this movie?
Dude, I told you how I really felt about this movie. It is so whelming to me throughout the whole movie. Like, I sat in my room and I was just like occupied.
I was barely satisfied.
Exactly. Here's my big gripe right off the bat. Okay, that I wanted to say before, but I couldn't because we're not spoiling. How you got this dude, Anthony Mackie, right? He's a cyborg, like a crazy cyborg. Like it's very real. Like he's a very real looking cyborg. Why the fuck are they using those gumps as robots? Why don't they have anything more advanced? Is that the step? Like they made the gumps and then they were like, all right, now we're ready for this.
That goes into what I was saying from the beginning. That goes what I was saying into the beginning is that there's kind of this conspiracy theory aspect that they're releasing some information of what the technology should be versus what they actually are capable of doing.
Yeah, I agree.
So it wasn't a selling point because they don't really advertise that. That's not really something that they're like trying to go for, but that's how I took it. And that's why I was like, okay, I can play into this.
Yeah, it definitely seems like there should be like an intermediary leap. You know what I'm saying? Because like the gumps are like something that are like you could see in like 5 years. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay. Like we have something like this. You know what I mean? Because we have like a walking robot. You know what I mean? We have a robot dog and stuff.
But the gumps sucked. Dude, they were trash.
What are you talking about? I love the gumps. I love
the Russian gumps were
the Russian gumps were
better.
trash. No, they were trash. They were trash. There were just as many Russian gumps, and they got effed up. They like did not last.
They got effed up because they like launched a bomb on them.
Nuh-uh, they got killed. All right, we're like in the end of the movie. Can we let's
Let's back it up a little bit. Back it up.
Let's take it back to the beginning.
This straight from the very beginning was just a PSA about the dangers of video games and like war gun specific video games. It was made and financed, had to have been by a mom who hates Call of Duty, who hates Gears of War, all these video games, and is saying that if you kids play these games, they're going to become drone pilots who have no emotions and just kill people.
That is such a good take. I also just want to make a quick call out to, I know for the people who don't know, Joey doesn't play a lot of video games, and the two war
No.
video games he thought of were Call of Duty, which is natural, and Gears of War. I'm so surprised you went to Gears of War over every
Gears of
other
War was
video
the
game.
only video game that I actually ever played.
Really?
I loved
That's
it.
awesome.
Yeah.
I played all 4 of them.
Much respect. Much
I didn't play the
respect.
new one. I played like a bunch of the old ones. But
Back to the movie. You're right, Joe. It was a PSA on the horrors of video games, and some Karen made this movie to get in our heads, but they didn't get in my head because I was so whelmed by this movie.
because I finished the movie and I went to go play Gears of War and Call of Duty at the same time.
Yeah, I wanted to go kill people.
Yeah,
after.
it's like I signed up for the Air Force so I could be a drone pilot. No, so essentially, like one of the big moral dilemmas of the movie, right, is like what's the greater good, right? Like that's like a huge theme in this movie. Is like do the ends justify the means? And like I feel like in certain ways, it like you completely sell that, like in like because essentially like in the beginning of the movie, there's like the whole thing that gets Lieutenant Harp in this situation is that he fires a drone strike in an active war zone, killing 2 Marines, but he says he's saving the 38 others because there could have been like an IED or a launcher or something when they were trying to advance and save them, right? And you know what I mean? Like, do the ends justify the means? Like, he thinks he saved 38 lives, but the Marines wanted to go see if they could save everybody, you know what I mean? Because those were kids that died, you know?
Yeah, and then the movie takes it on steroids. It's like, oh, I'm going to kill 100 million people
Yeah,
to save.
100%. Also,
Right. But
Like-
but is it just a knockoff Ultron, this dude? Like, I don't know if you guys remember Age of Ultron, but
Yeah.
that's literally Ultron's MO was like the Avengers are the cause of this issue and I need to like make humanity like evolve. So I'm just gonna drop a city on the planet.
Well, he
it's
wanted
the
to-
same thing.
yeah, but like, and
Yeah.
Thanos is the similar, you know what I mean? Where Thanos' whole thing, he's like, I'm taking out half people because we don't have enough resources. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
a little different. That's a little different.
I mean, it's like it's the good of the greater, like sacrificing
that's true.
the lesser, you know. And there it's 50-50, so it's kind of like there is no greater or lesser. It's 50-50, but like you know, I feel like it's around the same thing.
I feel like it was just a weak attempt at that. Like, you're right. Like, that's what they were going for. I just felt it was weak. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel much for any of the characters. Like, I don't think the characters were written well enough that I felt any connection to them.
I felt a connection to
all.
Harp. I liked Harp because Harp like I liked Harp only because like it was super tropey. The movie was like it was like if you're lactose intolerant, you can't watch this movie because it's got so much cheese. Because it's like, you know, like it's so like you feel like as you're watching the scenes, you can almost like repeat the lines before they say them. Also, the first so this is another quick thing is the first 45 minutes that like Harp and Leo are together. It's literally like, shut up, rookie, follow me, the movie. Like that's literally every time they have a conversation, it starts or ends with "shut up, rookie, follow me."
Can I also say I get it. I hate it though when movies start with titles to set the scene. It's one thing to do it, and then literally like 10 minutes into the movie, they recited every title that they put on the screen.
Yeah.
Like the first time Harp meets Leo, he basically explains what's going on to him, and it's like, well, why'd you put the titles in the beginning when you're going to tell us anyway? It was just felt lazy.
Can we also talk about how this movie has to have a record? It has to have the record amount of times that it says the title of the movie in the movie.
What are you talking about?
Dude, do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Dude,
what are you talking about?
I'm telling you.
I was only in the beginning. They didn't mention The Wire after they left.
Dude, literally, like 15 minutes after he got to the base and he's talking to Leo.
Yeah.
Harp is talking to Leo. All the way up until they get to the supply truck that's down, they say outside the wire so many fucking times. I was like, I was gonna start keeping count. I was like, this has to be a world record.
That's amazing.
I've heard the title so many times.
I also feel like the title has
except for like Forrest Gump, obviously, because that's his fucking name.
But the title has nothing to do with the movie. You know what I mean?
Nothing at all. That's why I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, yeah, that's why they had to recite it so many times to make it seem like it had something to do with
They
the
never-
movie.
It's like a
they
cool,
never
it's a cool badass title, and then they're just like, oh well, it actually has nothing really to do with
They
it.
never
so
explained
let's just
the
keep
wire.
saying it.
They never explained
Right.
it. They were just like, they're like, we're about to go outside the wire, and then they did like a slow pan of a fence with barbed wire on it, and you're like,
Yeah.
is that the wire?
Is this the wire?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
We're going outside the wire. What's that mean? No, it's a metaphor. We're just going outside the wire.
No, the barbed wires. All right, let's get back to our like cyborg death nuke race thing that we're doing. You know, any of those words shoved into the title would make more sense. I didn't like the twist. I liked the like. I feel like
Which one? Because they feel like they threw in like 15 twists that they were trying to do, and
I got
none of them really like
the
played
one
out.
the one where he's like the one where Leo is like, I'm trying to get you, like I liked the tracking chip is actually like my failsafe, right?
Mhm.
I liked that, which is also not how the circuits or software work. You can't just like take something out and it removes like a software command. Like that doesn't exist. But that's fine.
No. That you missed that because that was only his tracking device. That wasn't the command, right?
No. So that when he took it out, so like he asked the dude to take it out. When he took it out, that apparently is his failsafe, which is the it's the last trigger. That's like, oh, he can't just act freely. He has to listen to humans.
He can't disobey humans.
You're right.
exactly.
You're right. I missed that.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
he had to get him into a state that was like
Yes.
not.
But
It's basically
at
like
the
not
same
the right
time-
terms and conditions.
I like
Yeah.
that too, James. But at the same time, it was very obvious that this was something actually bad.
Yeah.
Like it never felt like, oh, I'm actually doing the right thing here. Like you knew that this was going to be something that like brought it bad.
Yeah.
Like in these types of movies, there's going to be a traitor, and it's usually the person you're following. And when this type of thing happens, you kind of just know something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, I can tell you, I think I'm just
So-
movie dumb, and I didn't see that coming. Like I didn't see the whole, I'm gonna be the guy. I don't want to get the nukes for the good guys. I want to get the nukes for me. Because
Oh no,
I'm
my
the good
first
guy.
note that I wrote was, okay, who's the traitor here?
Right.
And I thought it was going to be Eckhart personally.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, no, it's probably going to be one of
It's-
these two guys.
It's usually the AI that like fucks
That
something
fucks
else.
up,
Unless you're
yeah.
watching iRobot,
I
like
love
the
that
robot's usually the bad guy. I
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's
It's
it called?
just-
I hated the twist that like I still don't understand who she represents. The girl, Emily Beecham,
Sophia.
Who does
Yeah,
she
Sophia.
represent? Does she represent the resistance or like the Russian government? Like I feel
No. There's like a couple different things going on.
well, because this is
there's-
the conflict they're describing is like somewhat real. I don't know a lot about like the wars that there's basically a war in those areas that's been perpetually happening for like decades. And like it's
Okay.
Which again, I also liked because I feel like every movie we watch is about Afghanistan
Yeah.
or Iraq, which isn't really
like
relevant
and there's
right
there's
now.
active
But
fighting
the-
happen there like all
Yeah,
the
the
time.
Ukrainian conflict is a very real thing that can blow up any day now or any time, and it is kind of cool to see like a futuristic, like preemptive war movie.
Well, Joe, if you played video games, like you would get your fill on Russian warfare because Call of Duty literally is just you fighting the Russians all the fucking time.
Or
Like,
Nazis.
that's it. Or Nazis if you're in a World War II game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But no, you're right, Joe. It was a little mix up for a war movie, and that was like good.
Yeah.
But it still felt like, and that's the issue too. That was one of the things that I had kind of noted down is like, it still felt like you were in a war movie in Afghanistan because it was so empty. Other than like
Mhm.
all the
Yeah,
cities
there's no
were so
civilians.
empty, there was nothing. Just
yeah.
like you would see in a movie that takes place in like the hills of Iraq because there's nothing
Well, it's a
there.
war zone. It's an active war zone.
I genuinely think they had to
Yeah.
have filmed this during COVID and like secretively when nobody was outside because there's not a single car driving, there's
Right.
no one on the streets, and it was filmed in Hungary, so like it's a very popular
Yeah.
like
There's
I'm
people
guessing
there.
Budapest where it was it's a populous place. The cities are lively. It's a nice place. So
Yeah, James, I get your point, like that it was a war zone, but like literally any person you saw had a gun unless you were in the hospital.
It's true. Even
So it
the
was
children.
like-
The children all played with guns.
Yeah, all those orphans.
Did you see how
They
many?
were all-
Yeah, like how many times? I feel like there was at least 5 shots of like kids playing war, which makes sense because they're growing up in a war zone. But like, I feel
They
like
were all playing war.
yeah.
that's like kids playing Pandemic though now. Okay, you stay in your house. I'm gonna stay in mine.
See, that's what I did before the pandemic too, Joey.
Yeah. Joke's on you.
Joke's on you. There was one thing in the movie that I can't get over because it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, it doesn't. There was no reason for them to throw it in, and it was like this one-off thing in like a panning shot. But I looked at it and I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Let's hear it.
In the beginning of the movie, when the dude shows up on the base, there's like, they have one of those robotic dogs from like Boston Mechanics or Boston Technologies, like the ones that develop.
Or from Metalhead in Netflix's Black Mirror.
True.
Yeah.
I guess. Oh yes, I did watch that episode of Black Mirror. And it's like
we watched it together.
We did. He's like walking into a tent, right? The harp is walking into a tent, and it like looks up and growls at him, and I was like, wait. One, why is that there? Two, in what world would it have, like, would it look at a soldier and then growl?
Well, he growled at Harp,
Yeah,
right?
he growled at Harp.
So I think in the beginning they were just really trying to set the scene of like everybody hates Harp because he killed 2 soldiers.
He's like,
and even the dogs, man's best friend, artificial man's best friend, still hates you.
Someone in that universe, like, we have to believe that someone in that universe took that dog into whatever programming station they had and programmed in a hate for this man.
This one guy.
Like,
yeah.
But I was just like, I feel like it was like
just so that it could growl at him, like it doesn't even attack him, like just for the purpose of growling at him.
I did like that they had the scene where it like his actions had repercussions. I felt like it was very, again, I feel like a lot of this movie's heavy-handed, but like I feel like it was very like it was like, yeah, he killed these guys, you know.
Very obvious. So like at the same time, like, you know, in the very beginning, once he kills those 2 soldiers for the greater good, you know that he is going to be in the same exact situation on the reverse end by the end. Like, you know that his life is going to be at line, and he's going to either have to have this realization of either like, oh, I did the wrong thing, or no, I did the right thing. I'm expendable too. And
see, but then I think they cheaped out because I think they missed an opportunity where, like, for his character development, like, that he does sacrifice himself at the end.
He 100%
should have died for the greater good. And then maybe that would have had some salvation, but, like, dude, same thing. Like, it was just kind of like, bah.
I'm telling
like,
you,
bland.
The whole movie should have ended when Leo stole the codes. You know what I mean? Like, the movie shouldn't have gone on after that. It should have been like, oh, he's going to take the code. Like, what happened to Leo? Why is he taking the codes? And then he's like, I'm saving your life. And then basically, like, he knocks him out, throws him out of the car, and then you just see nukes go off. You know what I mean? And, like, they do a deadpan shot. So it's kind of like you figure out the thing. I feel like everything after, like, Leo makes it back to, like, he has this whole thing with Sophia, and then he makes it back to the base. Like, everything after that was bad. Like, I just didn't like any of that sequence. Like, even, like, his, like, dying, like, Anthony Mackie. I don't understand why Anthony Mackie doesn't kill him twice. And also leaves him with a gun that can kill him. You know what I mean?
He didn't know it could kill him, but I agree with your point.
But, like,
he should have killed him.
Yeah, he should have. Because he's, like, not operating on, like, his procedures anymore. And he knows that Harp is there to, like, hurt him. So he's like, I'm just going to choke him out and then, like, launch the nukes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was a lame attempt at suspense.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Can we talk about Koval for a second? Because he was supposed to be the main villain of this movie that everyone's tracking down and scared of and fearful, and does really nothing.
Yeah.
Great graphic designer. Loved his logo.
Was
rooting for that.
You're on Greyjoy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew I recognized him. I couldn't think of where.
No, I liked, the thing is, I saw that bad guy and I was like, I love it. I love the vibe of this bad guy. I want to see more of this bad guy. Literally one scene.
One scene, dies pretty quickly with not much fight put up, and
he gets clapped.
Just yeah, I was just like, he's not very hidden. Like, I thought he was gonna be like underground in a bunker. Like, he's wide open. It was just
he gets his arm broken in that cliche way that I was talking about.
But did you notice that shot where he like goes through the car windows?
Dude,
like, he throws the thing
Anthony
and then,
Mackie's
soars through
his worst enemy is any pane of glass. Like, he dives through 7 windows in this movie almost for no reason.
There was absolutely no reason for it. He breaks the car windows and then just like jumps through it. It was pretty cool. And then the other shot that I was talking about that I liked was when he like throws the grenade and then shoots it and then jumps back, and it was no, I
Yeah,
thought there was some
okay.
cool shots.
Hold on. That was a cool shot. I agree 100%. But then right after,
Nope,
and maybe
end it
I'm
there.
just
You agree
being
100%. I'm right.
No buts, Kevin.
maybe I'm being too nitpicky and too hard on this movie. But he shot that grenade, and that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be super hard to do, but he's an android, right? So he's like, he can do that.
But it
then
kills the other android.
Hold on. Then he's on the rooftop, right? And the dude's got the codes, and he's running away from him. And Anthony Mackie is shooting at him, and is like missing. And it's like, how the fuck are you missing that guy? You shot a grenade like in midair.
Like,
Also, you should be able to cap that dude.
I noticed.
So
I was
easy.
like, you're literally a droid who can like have perfect precision shooting, and you can't get
and
this
you're
guy.
missing. You miss. Yeah, you suck.
Can we also talk about how the fucking like I'm jumping all over the place, and I love. Okay, so I will say we've talked about negatives in this movie. I did have a good time watching it. I did. You know what I mean? Is it fun?
I agree.
Is it fun to rip on a shallow movie? Yeah.
To me, also, like, when I watch a Netflix movie, I'm expecting like very minimal production value, and I thought this one had good production value, and not to the extent of like it was a Marvel movie by any means, but there was multiple locations. There was good, like, it was just dynamic in my mind.
I think it was shot well.
Yes. There were some cheap shots where they're just like put a little cabin in the desert and they're like, oh, this is now a military war base. I'm like, eh. But overall, I was entertained and thought it was
I thought the action was
interesting.
good enough to keep you engaged like through the movie, but my issue is that it's more complicated than it should be for the type of movie it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Like the plot points, I don't know what the hell he kept calling it perimeter. Like they added all this shit. Like there was so
too much
going on that like you can't just sit and like just plug in for 2 hours and you get it, and there's a good twist, and you're like, oh, that was a cool twist. Like you have to actually think about everything that's going on, and you're like, that's like so much thinking for this. Like it's just like I'd rather watch Transformers.
And again, like maybe I don't play video games recently, so I don't know what the new ones are like, but it felt very much like a video game dialogue. It was like, guard the perimeter now. Oh, we have to man the boundaries.
It sounds like a
like a bad video game.
Yeah.
A bad
video
game.
games now
Yeah.
are like actually great
Movies.
forms of media, and I'm sad you don't play single player video games because I think I'm more engaged in that type of media than anything else.
Who's got the time when you're just running a super successful podcast?
On episode 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the one thing I will say to your point, Kevin, it felt like there was one too many twists, right? Like they threw in, like in the last third of the movie, I feel like they tried to establish a lot of new information very quickly and didn't explain it well. You know what I mean?
See, I maybe I'm missing something, and maybe you guys can explain. I don't think there were that many twists. I think there was one twist in that he was bad and he was trying to nuke the U.S. I don't know what other twists.
I just felt like there was a lot, like everybody was a somebody else, you know, other than like the Eckert, you know what I mean? And like the people at the original military base, like Sophia and Leo were both not who they said they were. You know what I'm saying?
With regards to Sophia, I genuinely don't know if she knew or not that Leo was a bad guy. Like, she says, yeah, we're going to nuke the U.S. in favor. Like, she's like, the U.S. is pitting us against each other right now. Like, they're the reason we're fighting, all this stuff. But, like, she was surprised when he said,
he's
like, oh, no, he's... Yeah, I just didn't get what her character's...
Agreed.
I didn't
was.
get
Was she the boss, or was she
was
just
a
a minion?
Like, she was one of the bosses. But like,
and that's my big issue is that with like if you're just looking, and I'm all for movies that you just sit down and you plug in and you just enjoy action for 2 hours. I'm all for that. But if you're gonna throw a twist in there and all these different plot points that like just start to get confusing and to get like kind of mixed up, then it's like you're making this so much work for like a shit movie. Like I'd rather like a really good movie, like a cinematography, like a masterpiece, like a film, like a Memento that I sit and think about, and at least I don't mind thinking about it because this is a really great movie. But for like a B Netflix original, I don't want to have to think too much about. I don't want them to have to explain to me the twist.
They're trying too hard.
Kev, that's what this podcast is about. It's watching these B-list
Yeah,
movies
that's true.
and
Shit,
deciding.
That's
really?
literally what
All
you
right.
signed up for.
Sorry, yeah, I gotta go. You guys can do this on your own.
It's called J&J Podcast. What's it called? The
Not to be confused with
J&J.
J&J.
Johnson & Johnson. What's it called? But
There's no vaccines
there's
here.
no vaccines here. Sad. There's no, like, I do feel like they're trying to do too much. That's why I'm saying, like, I feel like you should cut the movie at one point and then have it be like a somewhat ambiguous ending.
My thinking is that it just wasn't a well thought out storyline. Like, or maybe it was too thought out. Like, you couldn't cut it earlier because there's still unanswered questions.
No, I think if they cut it earlier on the bank scene, they could have just simplified
Yeah,
it.
there's less questions.
Never really bring in the
Okay.
nukes, never actually get to that point. Like, I don't think anybody was ever too worried about, like, them launching a nuke.
Yeah.
That's never going to end in an action
But
movie
I
like
think
that.
they wanted you to worry about that, and that's where I think the movie kind of fails a little bit in what it was trying to do.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think, it's a good popcorn movie. You know what I mean? Also, there's the joke I made earlier about the 75 cameras. If you watch the car scene again, they change camera angles, I think, every second. Like, it's them both in the car, just this guy from the window, them in the car, just Anthony Mackie from the side, Anthony Mackie from the other side, them in the car.
You were looking for that, James. They do that all the time in any movie, TV show, whatever. If two people are in a car, that camera angle is changing all the time. It's just cutting. You go watch another movie and don't think about it.
I've never noticed
it. Happens
I've
all
never
the time.
noticed it. Like,
I will say, though, with, like, those car scenes, like, in the chase scenes, like, there's these big moments where you expect it to be, like, 0 to 100, drama, going fast. Like, when he, like, lost signal from the license plate when the drone's following the car, you'd expect to see the car, like, go from, like, 0, like, chill cruising to, like, fast. And, like, that's what I feel like they tried to do, and just the car never changes speed. It just, like, looked very anticlimactic. I was like, okay, cool, so we're not that worried.
Yeah, he's cool. He also never changes cars. Like, he kills 75,000 people.
He changes cars. He's driving that shitty Toyota in the beginning, and then he can't drive around a fucking
he drove around
water
an
bottle truck.
Can we also talk
so he
about
gets an Escalade?
They leave, they like get a car from somebody, and it's a G-Wagon. Like, they get a car up from someone in a war zone, and they get in a G-Wagon, and I'm like,
it was a warlord, though, wasn't he?
It was a girl. I keep forgetting her name. Sophia. It was Sophia's car.
Yeah,
but I still feel like having a
she's
G-Wagon, wars. Like, she wasn't like, I don't know.
The car choices were interesting.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Also, to talk about that scene, they break into like a gun, like weapon dispensing guy's like office, and none of the guards have guns.
He's the Oshleck, the arms dealer.
Yeah, he's an arms dealer. They stand up from the table. Anthony Mackie doesn't like rush them. They like stand up from the table, and then they're like, "All right, we're gonna fight Anthony Mackie."
And the one dude like is behind Harp and grabs like an axe or something. I forget what it was, an axe or a bat, and just walks right by Harp to go get the robot that is literally just messing those dudes up. Wouldn't you like go after the other dudes in the group too? I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but
if I'm in
he literally walked past him.
Yeah.
Take the easy target, man.
Yeah.
No, I just feel like, but I feel like it's just like, you're like, yes, this is a scene where Anthony Mackie's going to show off like all the martial arts he's been learning for this movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just like a little like, all right, we're in like a fight club.
Yeah, no, the actual fighting scenes, I think they do cut too much, and you don't really know what the hell's going on, or it's not.
It definitely is akin to John Wick like cinematic fighting though. You know what I mean? I do feel I don't think it's as well done, obviously.
Okay.
But I'm saying it's like in the same tree. Like, they looked at that, they were like, this is really cool. We need to do like cinematic fighting, and then like.
Yeah, but John Wick, I
they're
think
not the
that's
first
a
people
tough
to do
comparison because John Wick does their fight choreography really well.
Agreed.
And it's like, yeah, it has quick cuts, but like it's still fast paced and it's still almost believable. Like, but this, it's like I don't know. Was it just me or like some of the like it just felt slow? Like people were moving slow,
Really?
even though they had these quick cuts.
I feel like they
it felt
sped
like
it up, you know?
no, but like it just felt like sluggish. Like the stuff they were doing just felt sluggish. There was no fluidity to it.
It felt like every shot was meant to do like one movement.
Yes.
And there wasn't
Okay.
actual follow up. Like there wasn't an actual like choreographed thing. It was just kind of like, okay, do this movement, stop, and then
Got it.
cut it together really fast. But there wasn't actual like fluidity to the actions.
I agree.
Kev, I don't know. I think you might be changing my mind on this movie. I'm still undecided. I don't know now.
I'll give it a disclaimer too. Like I went into it, I wanted to enjoy this movie because I like Anthony Mackie, I like sci-fi, I like cheesy movies, but like there was not much that kept me
in the seat,
excited. Like I was just kind of like,
yeah, it's definitely not a movie that grabs you. Yeah, I think the first third of the movie is the best third of the movie. You know, like the setup, the reveal of Anthony Mackie, them getting into that first fight with like all the Gumps and like whatever. Like
honestly, though, I had a lot of issues with the first third though because they don't really give you a setup as to why. Like, you don't really know about Harp and his
he's got a
intuition to. Honestly, I didn't even know that until it wasn't very clear. Like I thought that they could have developed him a lot more before that first drone shooting.
yeah.
And then they also like have this super highly intelligent artificial intelligence like being that is Anthony Mackie, and only one other person in the military knows that he's not a real human, and they tell this guy. It's like, why?
Yeah,
it just didn't make sense to me. Of like, how did that get cleared for him to find this out?
They definitely use a lot of like because I said so logic. You know what I mean? Like, and they move so fast that like nobody really asks the question. You know?
I think a good point you bring up, Joe, is the beginning of the movie. I think they missed a lot of opportunity for us to really care about Harp as a character and to like understand Harp as a character. I don't know if like they should have started out writing that scene when he's in the UAV and he's shooting down. Like I don't know. I think like I felt like I was missing something. Like they should have shown him before
in his personal life or something.
Yes,
we should have met his fiance. We should have met some sort of human aspect of him.
I'd be okay with that as a flashback. I don't know if I want that at the beginning because I like the cold start, right? Like I like the shock factor of like, oh, he's a UAV. Like there's like, because you don't start with him. You start, there's like a war happening or whatever, and then you like slowly pan more and you're seeing the shots of the UAV and you're like, oh, okay, like maybe this is just like for effect. You're really focusing on the people on the ground, and then it like backs up more, backups more, and you're like, oh, we're talking about the pilot. You know what I mean?
I did like that scene in the contrast of like what I write down, the disconnect between drone pilots and actual being on the ground, taking life in front of you versus just shooting a missile from miles away across the world.
Yeah.
I did like that disconnect. I didn't like how much they made it feel like a video game, and like it just felt too kind of PSA-ish. But
it was too heavy-handed. Like a lot of the movies.
I like the scene. I just think they could have done more before, a little bit more before, or a lot more afterwards to develop the character as not an asshole who is human, who does logically think about the greater good and his risk. He didn't struggle with it at all. He never questioned. Everybody was telling him, you made the wrong choice, and he never was like, did I make the wrong choice? He like, I feel like there should have been some human doubt there.
Yes, and then that would have made it so much more powerful when Anthony Mackie at the like towards the end of the movie says to him, there was like a missile or a turret in there.
Yeah,
like
there was
you
a
were
launcher.
right. Like you saved 38 people, but no one else knows that but us. That you're right, Joe. That would have made that moment more impactful. I think they really just did Harp dirty, like for this movie. They just like didn't make us care about him as much as at least for me. Like I didn't care about his character that much. If I had,
there was one,
and I hate sitting here acting like I could write a movie and come up with a story because I definitely fucking couldn't. But I know there are other movies out there where like they can develop a character, even if they only have 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to develop that character, they can get you more invested in that character than I ever felt with Harp during this movie.
I will say,
you go ahead.
I will say there is one scene specifically that I really liked Harp's development, and it was him trying to get the civilians out as like the fight is happening between the Gumps and like the Russians coming out of the bank.
Yeah, and he pretty much failed.
No, but like,
yeah,
no, there's
and it almost didn't. It almost seemed like he wasn't even fucking trying.
No.
He was just sad that he was failing.
Yes, at the beginning, yes. I want to zoom in more on like there was one where it's like he sees a woman crying in a car and he's like he is already safe and he goes back out to get her, right? And he pulls her from the car and then he stands up and he sees one of like the Russian soldiers or like the like whatever. I don't remember exactly which. There's 4 different like.
There's so many things.
Yeah,
going
exactly.
On, yeah.
One of the soldiers that was against him is like standing there and shooting at the robots, and then like they make eye contact, realize that like one of them's gonna die, and then it's the first time that Harp kills someone. You know what I mean? Like with a gun, and like they take a moment where it's like he kills someone, and then he realizes he kills someone.
I agree. That was a big moment. Yeah. Did either of you guys catch? Sorry, the point where he gets into the bank. Leo tells him, he's like, get them out of here. So he like dives over to the group of hostages and goes, it's okay, you're safe now. As they're actively being shot at and they haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that was
like, how are you going to tell these people they're safe?
Yeah, that was an attempt at comedy, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I just like didn't really care much for Harp, and I think that made me struggle with the movie. Like at least like with other shitty movies, like they might be good at making you care about the main character. I just like
again, I don't think I would look at this movie for any kind of like substance, you know? Like I think it was it fun to watch? Yeah, I had a good time watching it. You know what I mean? Would I watch it again? You know what I mean? Like I think I'm good, but like
can we also just quickly talk about Sophia blasting that guy in the head?
Oh my God! Indiscriminately killed.
She, I think, might have been my favorite character.
Yeah. Which one? He was laying on the ground, right?
Yeah, and they let him go, and then she goes, "Fuck no!" Boom.
Yeah. Well, what's it called? What's his name? So Anthony Mackie does this whole scene where he like peacefully brings people down about the truck. He makes whatever, and then they're in a gunfight where it's like, oh, he's defending himself, and then there's like the sniper scene, right? And right before the sniper scene, he looks at Harp and he's like. Oh, you're not a feeling, like it's like people's problem is they feel too much. And then he goes back and Leo's snappy remark is maybe they don't feel enough. And then he turns around and like glacks a sniper and then walks over and like pushes his thumb in the bullet wound to like interrogate him. And I'm like, where's your empathy and compassion now?
I will argue for Anthony Mackie's character and say that he was just manipulating the whole time to get where he needed to go. But that brings up my point of he fucking shot that dude right in the neck, right where he wanted to shoot him from so far away with a handgun, and he still couldn't shoot that motherfucker on the roof with the codes. Bullshit. Fuck that.
Also, why does the guy on the roof not have a gun? Like everyone else has a gun.
He's too busy carrying nuclear launch codes.
Which are
you can't carry a gun.
Why are the nuclear launch codes in a small pill bottle? Like, why is that?
Yeah, why was it? Great point, James. Hold on, let's talk about that for a second. Why was it like the nuclear launch code's like a fluid? Like it seemed like he stuck it in something and then stuck that something into a nuke. And also, wait. Pause. Why do you have to climb on top of a nuke to launch the nuke? What the fuck design is that?
He climbed. There was like a hatch in front of the nuke that he had to like.
He was still right fucking on top of it.
He was right near it.
Shouldn't there be another room?
Yes. Yeah.
I meant to ask you guys this because I genuinely have no idea how nukes work. And I was like, I feel like this is not the way they work.
Usually, I mean, I'm assuming that, like, you know what I mean? Especially with, like, a rocket, you don't want to be standing right next to it when it goes off.
Yeah.
The dentist doesn't even stand in the same room as you when they take an x-ray.
Right. And it only gives you 5 minutes to get somewhere safe. Mm-hmm. Like, what? Are you joking? Also, maybe I don't know much about nukes and warfare and physics and most things. I'm not a smart person.
Kevin's point is I'm dumb.
Yeah, I'm really stupid. But can you shoot missiles at a bunch of nuclear warheads and they don't go off?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That was my
no.
other thought.
So
Was like there should have been a much bigger reaction to that drone hitting the nuke. Like I
How
thought
so if the nukes are in the place, like you probably shouldn't bomb the place, or the nukes are gonna go off.
that's what I'm saying.
they just let Harp drive away, and he's like, "Oh, I'm on my way back to base." I'd be like, "No, bro, you got to quarantine for 2 weeks, and we got to do some like radiation test on
Yeah.
you because you were just
You were
around
standing
a
on top of a
nuclear
nuke.
bomb."
Yeah.
As it exploded. Like,
But I'm so caught up on, can you just shoot a facility and the nukes don't
Probably
go off?
not.
I cannot imagine that those bombs wouldn't just fucking explode and then you just blew up half of Ukraine.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know how nukes work, but I'm pretty sure that like if it has something to do with like nuclear fusion, so it's like you have to get that process started. I'm assuming an explosion would like rattle shit around enough that would happen, you know? Again, not a nuclear physicist, don't really know how that shit works, but like I feel like agreed, it's probably not a good idea to like nuke or like bomb a nuclear silo. Like you probably want to like take it offline without like other incendiary things.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But again, that's not what this movie was about. It was about Flash and dramatics.
Can we talk about Anthony Mackie's like dying request? Is like no more cyborgs for like 25 years, and then we're good.
Yeah, he was like for a long time.
So not like never.
Not like never.
Yeah, he's like no more cyborgs for like 50 years, and then I'm good. No more nukes.
But at the same time, it's like he's making a case against cyborgs, but you could have just been good, and like it didn't make sense. There was a paradox there, which I think also they hinted at, but like the reason is bad because he chose to be bad to stop them from making more so that they don't become bad. Like, or you could have just been good.
That's true.
yeah. We couldn't realize that.
Additionally, it's like how like this isn't a real request. Like I'm not gonna call in to like the robot manufacturer right now and be like, no more robots, and then everyone in that that wing of the government's gonna be like, okay, no more robots, and you're like, okay, so you're not launching the nukes, you know?
Also, like he's supposed to be a super smart AI. Like the U.S. has never responded to violence with, "Okay, we were wrong." It's always been, "You bomb us, we bigger bomb you." It is the point of the
fair,
movie.
Joey, we've also never been nuked, so you know.
But we've basically dropped nukes on other people.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, once it happened. Well, twice,
Horrible.
but
twice in one time.
Can we talk about how crazy mutually assured destruction is? Like, I'm sorry, it's not. We're not talking about movies, but that is so fucking crazy that. Like, literally, the existence of nukes are why we won't get nuked.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that is so fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like we're all sitting at the dinner table with, like revolvers under the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not going to kill you in one shot.
Insane.
But, like, if you start shooting, everyone else is going to start shooting, you know?
Do you want to hear? Can we go on a new segment in our first episode called Kevin's Favorite Conspiracy Theories? That... The whole thing in Hawaii. Remember when Hawaii got that text message?
No.
That I've told you this, Joe. I've told you this, Joe.
Yeah.
Remember that, James? They got the text message and it was like ballistic missile inbound, like seek shelter, like it was an actual alert. Do you remember that?
No.
It was like 2 years
Are you
ago. They
kidding
got
me,
this
James?
alert.
I live in a hole.
The whole state of Hawaii for like 6 minutes thought they were going to be bombed.
So you know how you get like a weather alert on your phone or like an
Yes.
Amber alert,
Yeah.
like it gets. So everybody in Hawaii in like I think it was like 2017 got a text message or one of those push alerts from the government saying seek shelter, like ballistic missile inbound.
That's
like
bananas.
people thought they were getting nuked. Dude, there's videos of like
Was it a
people putting
test?
their kids in the sewers. So the story is that someone messed up and they sent it out by accident. But my conspiracy theory
Intern
is,
Jimmy.
yeah, intern Jimmy. Someone has the responsibility of doing that. My conspiracy theory is that, or what I choose to believe that I've seen online, is that there was an actual missile coming. And it got close enough that they sent the alert out, but our defense systems caught it, and then they played it off to be fake. Because right around that time, there were all the headlines of like North Korea like tests a nuke and like North Korea launches this. It was right around that same time.
Yikes.
And then that happened. I fully believe that we have defense systems that can take these things out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened that day.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's your Kevin's bullshit conspiracy theories.
I want a compilation.
Part
If nothing else, if this podcast brings nothing else, I want like an hour long like compilation of Kevin's conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Next time on Kevin's conspiracy theories, we talk about how he thinks that John Benet Ramsey grew up to be Katy Perry and she's not actually dead.
Well, that's been proven.
yeah.
All right. I think we've talked about the movie. Does anyone have any other points before we get into click or keep scrolling?
Oh wait, my one point that the Russian grunts
Gumps, Kevin.
Gumps.
Awesome.
The Russian
Forrest
Gumps 1,000 times better than the U.S. Gumps.
No.
10 times better.
No.
Not 1,000, but they were
designed better, but they were less effective.
Dude, they were so cool. They like got
They
into
had
their
that cool-
squat.
yeah.
They.
But they only. But like what? Which? But which ones died?
All of them.
Yeah, they all got fucking bombed.
That's true. All right. Let's start with Kevin. Kevin, click or keep scrolling.
I'm scrolling. I don't think it was even enough for me to click it. Like, I wouldn't click it again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd recommend anybody click it, even if you like campy sci-fi. I think I'd say just keep scrolling.
Right.
There's other stuff out there.
Respect. Joey, click or keep scrolling.
I am going to watch on a day that I've got nothing else going on. This isn't going to be a movie you tell your friends about. It's not going to be a great movie you talk about at work, but it is entertaining. It does have its perks, and the acting was good. The writing was but I would give it a watch if you got nothing else better to do.
Yeah. On the same page, I think I actually am going to go keep scrolling after this conversation. I would click if only to have a conversation like this with my friends. You know what I mean? Like, where I can like watch the movie and rip on the movie. I do think that Anthony Mackie was the best part about that movie. I love Anthony Mackie. But I think it was the writing that really did it in for me. But again, yeah, if you're rainy day, sure, go watch it. If you have nothing else to watch, especially during COVID, you've burned through all of Netflix, have at it. But I think I'm going to keep scrolling. There's definitely other stuff I want to watch before I go back to this again. Okay, before we finish, this was joked about, and I guess we're actually doing it. I have to give one bit of dating advice before we end the show. So, make sure you're wearing deodorant.
I like that one. That's a simple
good
one,
one.
but
Yeah,
I wouldn't have even thought of that. That was very outside the box.
It's one of those things that I feel like I never had a problem with it, but it's like I feel like it's one of those things that especially if you're like rushing and you're nervous, you can forget, you know? Like, and if you're nervous, you should probably wear deodorant.
I work from home, so I don't wear deodorant anymore. So
gross.
No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. Anyway, great advice.
Yes, appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to Flix Fellas. Please comment down below. Let us know what movies you guys want us to check out. Leave a like and subscribe if you're into this, and we'll keep making some more content. Thanks.